Hey guys, it's Stephanie again, and you are tuned into the review of Married at First Sight, Season 9, Episode 10. Okay, so last night's episode was a crazy one, and they offered a twist that they've never offered before. They offered a recommitment because it's been over a month, and I think where that's coming from is because of the other seasons where they realized people weren't really into it or they had a different agenda. They wanted to make sure that they are doing the best that they can do to really assess these people, not only before but also during, which I thought was really good. But last night's episode had me drink several glasses of wine because I just could not believe what I was seeing. So let me just kick it off with Amber and Matt. I don't want to wait on them. I think Amber needs to cut her losses. Matt is not into it at all. Matt not being home for 2 days, the whole thing is ridiculous. I thought I would have so much to say about it because I was practically yelling at the TV the whole night, but I don't have much to say besides he's not really invested. And he thinks he should be invested, so he's saying certain things, but his actions are not adding up. And his body language isn't adding up. When we see him talk to Pastor Cal, he's saying one thing with his body, but saying a completely different thing with his words. His actions are more reflective of what he is showing physically, which is being uninterested and being really uncomfortable. And I don't know what his deal is with why he feels he needs to stay. Even when he has the conversation with Amber, because the women met with Dr. Viviana and the men met with Pastor Cal, and he really, said, he almost cursed, I think. I think Pastor Cal almost cursed when he met with Matt, because he's like, what are you doing, essentially? Like, you're not home for 2 days. Where are you? What is this about? When all the couples met up, Amber, she wasn't as direct initially as I would have hoped she would have been, but who knows? That probably would have scared him off. At this point, it's probably best. But she says, do you want to be in this? And he's reluctant about saying yes. And she says, you know what? It's okay that you don't. Like, at this point, it's okay that you don't. And he still says, no, I want to make it work to make you happy. Red flag. Like, what about you? I mean, you have to want to be in it too. It just can't be for this other person, but you don't want to be in it. There's a difference between you and us. And so that nothing is lining up with him. And once again, Amber is really, really concerning me because her issues are showing up, her abandonment issues are showing up. And if you guys remember too, when she first got cast on the show, she said something, or her sister actually said that she was a little concerned because the last guy that Amber was with, or a previous boyfriend that she was with, she would give all her money to, and just things that are very like docile and concerning, and things that are not of a normal healthy relationship. And the moment the sister said that, I knew that was something that would show up again. And it has, the fact that she's just crying so badly that he's not coming home, which of course she's upset, but she's crying, and all she wants is for him to hold her. And they have this conversation that it kind of just goes the way it goes, and then you shoot to the last scene of them and they're playing footsie, and it's not realistic to what she wants, and it's not really realistic to a healthy relationship. Even the terms that she gives him, like coming home at 2:30, that's way too lenient. And I don't even think she really wants that. I think that she thought, okay, that's enough to let him do what he wants to do, or give him the space that he wants, but also be somewhat comfortable with that. And if we're starting there, it's going to extend. It's kind of like negotiation. If you want 5,000, you don't start at 5,000. You know what I'm saying? You start at, something else so that you guys can meet in the middle, or you start higher so that you can go down. So for her, she gives somebody who is already struggling with any type of reality of boundaries or what should and shouldn't be. It's not going to go that way. And even we see Matt be taken aback because he's like, oh, that's really lenient. Like, what? Like, jackpot, So I haven't seen this as a good match really the whole time. I was more optimistic that maybe there's something that could click that we didn't see at the very beginning and during the honeymoon, but ever since he's been back, he just can't get it together. And I feel like Matt really did this experiment to prove something to himself and his family, who at this point, as far as we know, don't even know that he's married. But he is not prepared for it. His transient nature is showing up, and he is used to kind of moving around, and he's used to not being held accountable. And I also think that they're not the best match together. And I've said this before, naturally, I don't think they would have chosen each other. So I feel like if it was somebody else that he was really into and not really forcing himself to become interested in, then he would make the adjustments. If he chose to, he would make the adjustments quicker and they would stick. Because you can get the right message, but if it's from the wrong person, then it doesn't matter. You know, how many people, or you've met a person or you dated a person at a certain time and, you know, they were saying all the right things, but it wasn't the person that you wanted. Like, that stuff doesn't stick if there isn't alignment with who it is and what they're saying and where you are and if you're ready, and all these things have to kind of work together, and none of it is working together for Amber and Matt. So I don't see it lasting long. I think we're prolonging the inevitable, and I feel bad for Amber, and I really, I really wish they could sit there and have an honest conversation with her after this. And it's crazy because you don't really know what they're seeing and how much access they have and when they actually view the footage. But if we could just interject as we see these things, is this enough for you based on these things? Not just presenting a little bit and saying, what do you think this is? Like, I thought the idea of the whole recommitment throughout this part of the process was great because it does kind of hold them more accountable than seasons past. But I really wish somebody would have said, this is what he's been showing so far. Let's assume that this is what it is. Based on this being it, is it enough? Based on habitual patterns in someone that you don't see, he walks in again with the head nod, like, what's up? Very casual. You don't see someone who is really sorry or really kind of ruminating and what can I do differently? How can I show up differently? I really want this to work. He's saying it, but I hear it, but I can't feel it. If somebody could just sit with her and say, are you really willing to extend this process, hoping for something that you have not been shown, maybe she would think about it differently. But I think with Matt and Amber, it's pretty much a done deal. At this point, it's like an hourglass and the time is going by, and I'm sure that, it'll continue to kind of fizzle on until it doesn't work out, because I just don't get that from him. So that is Matt and Amber. Jamie and Elizabeth, I'm going to start with like the hot couples early on, because I usually save them for last. Jamie and Elizabeth, that's another couple for me that I really, what I'm hearing, I'm not feeling. So they have this connection with each other, and they keep saying it. They both have said it. She says it on Unfiltered. We watched him say it when he was talking to Pastor Cal, and he was talking about, if you really care about this person, why would you treat her this way? And the fate of your marriage is your responsibility. And Jamie's saying, like, if I wasn't to be with her, what would I do? Like, spend my time looking for someone just like her? And it sounds right, but the actions are once again not lining up. The lack of control, and they both are pretty nasty to each other. I think Jamie hit a new low. I definitely think he took it a new level last week, and I definitely would have been checked out. But she is also used to that type of, maybe not that level, but they have a nasty, combative type of rhetoric that they do when they get upset with each other. So they are used to that. They're used to the minutia of that, and they find a way to thrive outside of that. And we see them have a conversation where they talk about boundaries, and she's really hurt, and he's feeling some type of way, and he knows that he shouldn't have gone that far, and they're talking about setting boundaries and, hey, if I go in another room, respect that I need that space. Let's not call each other names. Let's sit down once a week and talk about our relationship. All of that stuff sounds good, except they don't have the tools to communicate effectively at all. So when he even said, let's talk about our relationship, for me, I don't even, or once a week, I don't even think without mediation early on, they should be doing that, because I don't think they're equipped to be able to do that effectively. If we remember a couple of weeks ago, one of the other blowouts, she said that Jamie always wants to talk and talk and talk. So when they are talking about their relationship, chances are things are going to come up that could be done better, or things that didn't go over so well. And how are you guys going to address that situation or those things effectively if you have never been able to really do so without someone there in the middle? That's one. Two, their issues with intimacy. For some reason, my gut trusts Elizabeth more with this. I think, and let me know what you guys think, but when Jamie says that they have an intimacy issue and she uses sex as a tool when they're upset, then she doesn't want to have sex. In my mind, I was thinking, well, most people when they're upset, they don't want to have sex. You know, and we're not there to see, is she using it as a tool, or is she like, I just don't want to have sex. I'm upset. This is not the time that I want to be intimate. And we know that he wants to have sex more often. And if we really put these things in perspective, they've been together a month. So really, when she said, like, give me a second, you know, you've sex 6 times a week, for most people, they're like, no, I don't have time for that. So that's one, with someone you love and you know and you want to be with. And so the newness of being with this person for a month, having not known them before a month ago, and having these demands to be so intimate and like forcing it rather than allowing it to transition into that naturally, that's a concern for me. And I think that because, you know, he wants it more than her, he identifies it as her using it as a tool. But if we're pissed off at each other, then chances are that's not a turn on. So that's another thing. I think the intimacy between the two of them is focused on the sex, and we can tell, because she's like, sometimes I have it just so that it's not a problem. Like, that's not being intimate, that's doing an act. And I think they need to focus more on that, and he needs to focus more on that, so that it becomes something that is not a chore, and it becomes something that happens naturally and as consistently as it does, because it's something that is enjoyable and looking forward to. Not, it's not enough, you know. And now we're having this tit for tat. What is enough? You know, what are you gonna Google how many times a week you should have sex? Like, it doesn't work that way. Every couple is different, every schedule is different, every person is different, and you have to find what works for you. But I think it's important that they are able to kind of figure out intimacy beyond just having sex and what that's about. And both of them have issues back there that we can kind of see. So once again, Jamie and Elizabeth, if you guys saw the video a couple of weeks ago where I had mentioned the, you know, red chair, black chair, green chair, they are in that red chair where they are always super fiery, super passionate, whether it's in a good way or a bad way. But that fizzles out and then it's dead. Like, when there comes a point of no return, because there is not an even comfortable, healthy flow, it just fizzles out and it explodes. And they're right, they don't have many more explosive conversations and arguments between the two of them, where they can come back and kind of regroup and give a effort, like a concerted effort towards remaining in this marriage. So I don't necessarily see Jamie and Elizabeth lasting either, but we shall see. So that's Jamie and Elizabeth. Next we have Deonna and Greg. Deonna and Greg, to me, are the bright spot in this season, and they to me are like the underdogs, because I don't think we thought that they would work so well together, but they really do. They are progressing, I think, significantly well, because once again, it's been a month. You know, we watch and we say they should be moving quicker, she needs to open up, or she needs to be doing this, or he needs to relax, or all of these things. But if we, you know, how many of us have opened up so quickly and have learned to trust so quickly after a month of meeting someone? I mean, some people have been together for years and they still are trying to figure that out. So I think that they're progressing really well, especially for Deonna, because obviously Greg is more open about his feelings, and he is more communicative, and she is not, you know, and she hasn't had to be. You know, Greg's last relationship was 2 years ago, hers was 10 years ago. So I think she's making great strides. I forgot to mention last week when she had said that she was worried about Greg seeing a different side of her. I think that's her really caring about him and really wanting to make it work. And so if he sees this side of me that isn't so great, and we all have that side, is he gonna stick around? Because I don't want him to go anywhere. That's her way of saying it. And she kind of confirms that by talking with Dr. Viviana and eventually with Greg about how she is more nonverbal in the way that she communicates, and she needs to learn how to be, more communicative. And he even discusses that with his friend at the beginning of the episode, that her not being that way would not be like a green light, but he's open to allowing her to move forward. And we've seen her let her walls down. We've seen him be a little more assertive, a little less analytical. I mean, he's gonna be that is who he is, but a little more relaxed. Somebody, I can't remember who, but had a great comment, a great explanation about Dianna being attracted to Greg's alpha qualities, and the more that he presents himself in that way, she is more attracted to that. And we've gone back and forth with, oh, she's probably dated bad guys and that's what she's attracted to, but let's turn it into a functional way. And that person, I don't know who you are, but that was a great comment. The alpha qualities are what she's attracted to, and when he is presenting that self and kind of peacocking in a very chill way, not an arrogant or over the top, but just kind of showing himself to be relaxed and in control of himself and not overthinking, that's what she's attracted to. So we've seen them kind of develop together. We see them learn kind of where they are struggling, where they need to grow, and they're willing to do that, and they're both sold. And I think that they're the best example of how this experiment could go. I mean, they've been able to address things that are uncomfortable. They've had uncomfortable conversations that could have become an argument or a conflict, and they've really addressed it. Even if maybe internally there was something different going on, but they addressed it very well. They're letting their walls down. They're pushing themselves to be uncomfortable on both sides, and they're willing to put in the effort. So I think they're doing really, really well. I'm enjoying seeing them. I think that they have a really good chance at longevity, and that's pretty much it with Dianna and Greg. So they're doing really, really well, and I'm happy for them. So last but not least, we have Iris and Keith. So Iris and Keith, they had a little bit of a bumpy episode. I mean, they ended on a high note though, I think. But I forgot to mention last week that I love Iris's mom. Like, Iris's mom is such a sweet spirit, and she's exactly who you need to have. So when I had mentioned a couple of weeks ago, me and my husband, when we did the review together about who to have in your marriage, and be careful because everybody's not in love with your spouse. You're the only one who's in love with your spouse, so people hold on to stuff, and it's important not to have family and friend, and to be mindful of who you have in your marriage. But of course you do have supportive people. Iris's mom is the best example of that, because she is really the people that you want to support you, not only support you because they love you, but they support your marriage. So even if they're close friends with you or your spouse, they still love the marriage, and they support the marriage. And that's exactly what Iris's mom did. She basically heard her daughter's concerns, and she offered her a different perspective. She helped her get outside of herself, and she pushed her a little bit. Jump in the pool, girl. I mean, come on. I hear you, but maybe it's not that. Maybe it's this, and go ahead and jump in anyways. Like, let's go. She knows her daughter, and she was like a perfect example. And I forgot to mention her last week. This week, at the beginning of the episode, we watched them struggle a little bit with the game. The concern. First of all, I'm so tired of talking about the virginity thing. I can't even take it anymore. I can't really take it anymore. I don't care about her virginity, because there's so much more to her than that. And unfortunately, besides her being like neurotic and quirky, we haven't been able to see that. We know she's mature, we know she's supportive, but have we really gotten to know her? Because they have beat us with this dead horse that is her virginity. I think where Iris is struggling is that she does not want to be on camera really getting graphic in this experience because she has held it so near and dear, as it should be. And she wants to do it when she wants to do it. So we're seeing her kind of show up like an 8th grader on camera simply because she's not comfortable doing it on camera. I don't think she's not comfortable doing it at all, because she has said she has had sexual experiences before. So, you know, she knows what a penis is. She's not, you know, she's probably not scared of it, but the way that it shows up on camera is that she is. And, you know, that brings Keith concern, understandably, because beyond, and a lot of people are saying, you know, Keith's a dog. I don't even know where people are getting that. He's not shown anything about being a dog. Okay, he was a man, single before, sexually active. Okay, that's fine. He is now married to a virgin, and he is concerned that it's not even about the virginity. It's more about, like, can I even get there with my wife? Like, she doesn't even let me get an inch there to have a conversation. You know, I can't even explore what intimacy looks like for us in stages. I think that's all he wants. I think if he got at least a yellow light, he doesn't even need the green light. He just wants a yellow light, or just a hint, a countdown that it's about to turn yellow. And I think because she's so uncomfortable on camera, you know, it's showing that she's not really interested, and it's causing conflict, and now he's not really sure. And I think most men would be concerned about being that guy to kind of take that step with someone, just because it's such an important step. But beyond that, do I want to do that? And she can't even demonstrate that she has the ability to provide me with more. That is a normal thing. I think that if if it was reversed, and it was a guy and it was a woman who was requesting more intimacy, just the being shut off by your spouse in any capacity is a turnoff. It makes you feel like, okay, like I don't want to do this because I don't know, this person is shutting down, and it's uncomfortable, and it's weird, and it's not fun anymore. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of, and that's where his concern is. So he has a conversation with Pastor Cal. I love the conversation with Dr. Viviana, her saying, listen, there are other ways to be intimate. And I'm glad, because watching them play that game was like a train wreck. I got secondhand embarrassment watching them play that game. It was just the worst thing ever. And it could have been so cute. But once again, she played the game how she played the game, and you could see that he was like super annoyed. And I get it. It was a train wreck of a thing that could have been fun. But I love that she had that conversation with Dr. Viviana, you know, kind of pushing her to say there are other ways to be intimate, to show that you have the potential to do that without it being sex, and to show your mate that you're willing to go there with them, because they need to know that. And I'm glad he had the conversation with Pastor Cal, and I'm glad that they had that conversation together where they were able to discuss and see each other and hear each other in a different way for the first time. Like, she was taken aback a little bit that he was kind of a little bit scared himself for different reasons, but it's not all hyper focused on her. And she was able to take accountability with, okay, I need to step it up, and I need to show that I'm able to, you know, go down this route with you and lead you there in a little bit. And I think we saw if you guys paid attention to him after she said that, like, he was more relaxed, like, okay, like, maybe there is a light at the end of this tunnel. And, you know, the episode ends them very sweetly playing with the body, I forgot what it was, and the body something, paint, I think, and the strawberries, and this is the most relaxed and intimate that I've seen her with him, and him licking her thigh. I was like, okay. I was really happy to see that. I really enjoyed that, because I think there's such a great match. Like, yes, we have these big things that are in the way, but I don't think they're like things that could kill the relationship if they're willing to go the distance and willing to get comfortable. If they're not, then yeah, it can. But I think that as long as they're both willing to be patient with each other and move forward and offer each other just another step and another step, like, they have real potential as well. So I was happy to see them kind of end on that note, and I hope that they continue to grow together, because they've actually gone through a lot together as it is. You know, the fact that she was there, she met his grandmother before she passed, and she was there to support him during that time, you know, that's not just for TV. You know, that's his real grandmother. That's a real experience. That's a real person that's close to him who passed away. And she was there. And I think they work well in a lot of other areas. And although intimacy and sex is really important and it's a big area, I think if they're willing to make that move and move well together, they will get there. And I hope they do. So that's it. As always, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like. And I think I will be doing a live, and I'll post this probably sometime early next week, but I'm gonna do a live the like 5 or 10 minutes after the episode airs next week. So that'll be exciting. I've never done a live before, so this will be our first time together. That's where you guys can do the super chat feature where you can pay to send in your questions or interact or engage. I will let you guys know exactly what time, but more than likely the episode is, I believe, like 8:30 Eastern to like 10 o'clock. So I'll probably hop on around 10:05 or 10:10, and then I can talk with you guys live about the episode. So as always, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like, and I will talk to you guys next week. Everyone have a great weekend.